Last night we told you where the Republicans running for president stand on Ukraine. No one had asked them, and so we did. A lot of the answers were what you would expect. Ron DeSantis' answer, we didn't know what to expect. His was very straightforward. He said, and we're quoting, "Without question, peace should be the objective." Now, if you're a normal person, if you're not a neocon who derives deep emotional pleasure from hurting people, that seems like a totally expected answer. Why wouldn't you want peace? All these people were being killed, including a bunch of kids. But the neocons were enraged by this. Here's a selection.
Ron DeSantis is talking about something far worse. He's talking about trashing the international order. He's talking about dismissing a full-scale invasion of a sovereign European nation as a border dispute. This is so reckless.
Ron DeSantis basically said, so what? Russia is in Ukraine. Let him alone. It doesn't affect us. I mean, the narrowness of that vision, the narrowness of his statements, it's more than upsetting. It's scary.
The Tucker tail is wagging the dog. That's why. I mean, look at the forum through which he wanted to give this information, from a host on Fox News who has been railing against the U.S. involvement in Ukraine.
As a national security person, from my perspective, it's actually horrifying to me that you have two potential frontrunners for the Republican nomination espousing pro-Putin and standing against Ukraine.
As a national security person. No, you're a moron. And give us the last three successes that your national security policy has borne. Oh, none? Okay. What's interesting is how very much they care. This is actually what they care about. They claim to care about a lot of things. What they really care about is foreign policy and neoconservative foreign policy. It's exactly why they hated Trump. They would have put up with anything, but when he criticized the Iraq war, he was done. Same with Tulsi Gabbard. They kicked her out of the Democratic Party for it. So they were very mad that Ron DeSantis took a completely reasonable position consistent with the overwhelming majority of Americans. Liz Cheney, DeSantis is wrong and seems to have forgotten the lessons of Ronald Reagan. Ooh, Ronald Reagan. Lindsey Graham primly said he could not disagree more. Of course, Bill Kristol and David Frum sent angry tweets as well. And they are mad because now they are stuck with, let's see, Nikki Haley and Chris Christie. Those are their potential candidates for president in 2024. It's so great and very funny. Pedro Gonzalez is politics editor at Chronicles. He's the author of Contra on Substack, which is excellent. He joins us tonight. Pedro, thanks so much for coming in. Tell me that you derived a little bit of animal joy from watching the outrage on MSNBC and at The Atlantic magazine, et cetera.
Well, the talk about trashing the international order, that honestly, that does get me excited. But I think we also shouldn't be surprised by these neocon guys from David Frum, David French, Bill Kristol, putting on the pearl necklaces of their wives just to clutch them when DeSantis says that we should avoid World War III, because neocons actually began as a movement of liberals and leftists who moved into the conservative camp in the 60s and 70s and ultimately hijacked foreign policy and drove the U.S. into one disastrous war after another, leaving a trail of blood and tears in their wake, which is what they call liberal democracy. That's what that term actually means in practice in the mouths of these warmongers. But, Tucker, I actually think the term neocon is inaccurate because there's nothing conservative about neoconservatives. They're just liberal interventionists. Their vision of the world is drag queen story hour here and gender studies taught at Cabo University. But of course, you'll never see guys like Fromm and Kristol and Max Boot, Kinzinger and French on the front lines of combat in Ukraine. They'll never pick up a rifle and go over there. They're too comfortable tweeting outrage about it, about DeSantis calling for realism and restraint. But when you accept that they're just liberals who want to intervene everywhere, it starts to make sense why all these people who used to orbit around the GOP have now swung behind Biden on Ukraine, because they're just liberals who want to intervene all over the world.
I'm going to stop using that phrase tonight, and I think you make a really smart point, and I'm sorry I've used it for so long, because they're not conservative in any sense. Pedro Gonzalez, thanks so much.